If we're not going to take the tack of so many and say out of sight, out of mind, and actually be willing to think about moral dilemmas in the world, it's important that we understand where the vast majority of moral dilemmas are coming from. And I think what's happening on the right pales in comparison to what's happening on the left. While the left complains of white supremacy and apparently its close cousin, Christian nationalism, I would say it's probably like cousin / boyfriend girlfriend, since it must be incestual. It's close cousin Christian nationalism. We must remember that that's simply a segment of the population that comprises about 0.0000001% of all Americans. The right complains, on the other hand, about the butchering of children in the womb, a number that exceeds tens of millions of babies, the butchering of children through supposed gender-affirming care, the sexualization of children through comprehensive sex education, and more. Yet, there is one Christian news organization that finds it incredibly easy to focus on the problems of right-wing modern evangelicalism while conveniently forgetting everything happening on the left. Christianity Today has appeared on the show before and is making another appearance in this segment, because I was asked the other day, why go after Christianity Today? I mean, after all, they blew the whistle on the SBC, and they even investigated the predations of Mark Driscoll through their podcast, The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill. While I think their reporting on those issues has been okay, and that's being a little bit charitable, by the way, what I find hard to fathom is how any modern Christian paying attention cannot escape the fact that we are in a culture war. And the enemy may be within the church in some ways, sure, but it's clearly not the biggest issue right now. Search for yourself what kind of reporting Christianity Today has done on the sexual indoctrination of kids through comprehensive sex education, or how horrible the epidemic of transgenderism is. I bet you it won't surprise you too much that all you can find is one article about youth pastors and learning how to navigate this new phenomenon with their kids. Weird, right? You'll find nothing condemning about the lies that our government told about COVID, nothing about the neo-Marxist agenda behind Black Lives Matter and critical race theory, and nothing about a whole host of other issues plaguing our country. But we get Mark Driscoll being a controlling and bad meanie. I don't like some of what Mark Driscoll did any more than I like everything I do. But seriously, it's almost as if Christianity Today is run by people who turn a blind eye to real issues. Spineless men who want to kiss the ring of Beth Moore while begging the left to be welcome to the cultural elitist party for the weekend. More substantively, the reason I think you should be highly skeptical of Christianity Today is because they function much like secular media does in the way that they narrate their stories through a bias that defies Orthodox biblical Christianity. They mimic the media in also one other glaring way. At least some of their figureheads straight up lie to your face. And whenever someone tells you who they are, you should believe them. So here's Russell Moore, head of theological projects at Christianity Today, doing just that on multiple occasions.
I have a list that I sort of keep in Google Keep of milestone dates. So that I can sort of think about, oh, well, this is the date of my baptism, or this is the date of some significant thing happening. One of those dates is October the 7th. Because this was the day in 2016 when the Access Hollywood tape released with a candidate for president talking in really, really shockingly crude and violent, I would say, terms about women. And one of the reasons that I mark that as a defining point is because I thought, well, a lot of my fellow evangelicals who have been well-meaning, they didn't really understand what was going on here, they'll stand up and repudiate this. And they didn't.
Now, put on your common sense thinking caps here. Russell Moore has, in the cloud, special dates that he's stored up to remember. He's got the date that he was saved, the date that he was married, the date of his baptism, his kids' baptism, if he's got grandkids, their birthdays, and all these important dates. And among all of these important life-shattering days that have changed the history of his life, one of those dates is the grab them by the P word tape, when Donald Trump was exposed for being a misogynist. That was a very important day for Russell Moore. So raise your hand if you think Russell Moore is absolutely lying to you for the sake of his guess. Better yet, bigger question here. Raise your hand if you think Russell Moore is going to say anything about the corruption of Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. Raise your hand if you really think Donald Trump is that morally egregious that we should totally just sweep those things under the rug. Now, also, let me just make one basic and very simple point that Russell Moore is either feigning ignorance of or is truly ignorant of, and either way, not that great. That the vast majority of elections that are staged in America are done so on the grounds of the lesser of two evils. When Donald Trump was running against Hillary Clinton, the Christian voted for Donald Trump not because they love men that grab girls by the P word, or that they were willing just to ignore that. No, we did that because we found in Hillary Clinton the most vile and disgusting human being, perhaps, in the history of our electoral process. We found a person that wanted to abort babies in the third trimester, head poking out of the vaginal canal, and we're like, I don't know, should we abort, should we not? This is Hillary Clinton for us. This is Hillary Clinton who swindled her way into the Democratic National Convention nomination by doing whatever she could to cheat Bernie Sanders. Now, some of you might be saying, thank God, but nonetheless, she cheated her way into the nomination. That's been fully exposed. So we have a corrupt, disgusting, lifelong politician, and we have, on the other hand, Trump, who is not the picture of morality. So to pretend that Christians were turning a blind eye to this fact and we're elevating Donald Trump as some holy and revered prophet does not resemble any of the facts on the ground. This is a lie in order to pander to his guest, who, by the way, is a radical feminist. He knew that she would like that line of reasoning and blaming male evangelical Christians for just thinking that it's not that bad of a thing if you grab girls by the P word. So obviously what we have here is a blatant lie. It's not representing the facts of the actual election. It's not representing the facts of what evangelicals believe. And it, most importantly, doesn't underscore how important abortion is to Christians. But it doesn't stop there, because Russell Moore also decided to lie in another occasion here.
Which means sometimes I think asking people in your community what's going on with our church. I had a friend who was talking to a pastor in Alabama who was serving a white church in a predominantly African-American community. And the pastor said, I just don't know why we can't get black people to come to our church. And he's seated at a desk. Behind him is a Confederate flag and a bust of Stonewall Jackson. He said, well, maybe that's a clue.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
Now, I have to tell you guys, I've been in ministry for 20 years, and I have preached in some pretty deep South churches, some of which that I can honestly say I'm pretty sure that the pastor there might not have the best things in the world to say about black people. Not that I have ever heard it, even in those deep South churches. But can I tell you something I have never heard or never seen? In all of my years preaching, especially in the deep South, I have never once heard a white pastor that has a rebel flag and a bust of Stonewall Jackson in his office say, I'm just really trying to get diversity in my church, and I have no way of knowing why I just can't seem to get it. You know why that's never happened to me? Because it never happened to Russell Moore either. The dude is lying. And he's lying again to pander to his audience. That happened about as much as aliens landed on this earth. Sorry, Matt Walsh. Listen, I have no ill will toward these people. I consider the people at Christianity Today and even Russell Moore brothers and sisters in Christ. I just want to be honest with you, and you should be honest with yourself. When people act like the left, they deserve to get treated like the left. When they lie, when they deceive, when they are dishonest with people, they don't deserve our trust. The reason people like this lie, like leftist media does, is because they're not interested in exposing the evil of leftist culture. They're interested in the credibility and the notoriety that can come when they pander to the culture. When Christianity Today lies like leftist media lies, they leave us with no other option than to treat this Christian organization like a leftist media organization. Now, they may be a, leftist media organization with a Christian bow, but leftist nonetheless. And for that reason, they don't deserve our trust, and they need Jesus. That's all the time we have for today. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and go with God. So you just got done watching a small excerpt of a much larger episode. You can find the link to that full episode down below in the description of this video. So you definitely want to check that out, because if you like that clip, you'll like the much larger episode. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click that little bell to be notified when great new episodes of Indie Thinker come your way. Thanks for watching.